What's going on, guys? It's Tommy, and I'm coming at you with an action figure review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Hasbro the Black Series Mandalorian Shriek-Hawk from The Mandalorian Season 3. These Mandalorians showed up briefly in one of the episodes. I believe it was the episode of the show where Ragnar, who is Paz Vizsla's son, gets taken away by the Shriek-Hawk, hence part of the name for this character, and a team of Mandalorians is put together led by Din and Bo-Katan to go get Ragnar back. This specific Mandalorian design was seen in multiple shots of the show. Again, he was part of that party that went out to go get Ragnar back. Very cool that they kept it accurate to the show with this design, and you see him throughout later episodes of the season as well. I'm always down for some more rando Mandos, and it's especially cool that this one has some different colors as well. This was a Target exclusive release this year. I did get this originally. I had pre-ordered this figure, and I'm just going to kind of briefly share my frustrations with Target lately because I've always hated the way that Target does their Black Series exclusives. This figure went up for pre-order. I pre-ordered it. All the orders started to ship, and for some reason mine randomly went on back order, but then simultaneously while mine was on back order for the pre-order I did back in July, then the figure goes up for sale in stock on Target app, and for some reason is on sale for $17 when I pre-ordered it for full price. So I then picked up the figure on sale and it immediately shipped, and now it's in my hands. So I really get frustrated by Target's system, and Walmart equally, but you know, this instance it's definitely on Target. This right here is the standard packaging for the Black Series right now. You have the logo up at the top of the line. In vertical text here you do have Mandalorian Shriek-Hawk. This is number 40 for the Mandalorian subline. You have the figure in a nice big plastic window with his accessories, and then down here you have the Mandalorian show name in that little banner. On the side you have the mural art for the character. Nothing really to look at in the back here, just the character itself. On the back of the box, you do get that same mural image we saw on the side of the box, blown up a bit, the name of the character with the line logo, and a bio in about a million different languages, which reads, "The Shriek-Hawks are a team of Mandalorian specialists skilled in jetpack operations as well as scouting and rescue missions." And then down here again, you have that he's number 40 in the Mandalorian subline. All your legalese, please don't feed this action figure to your babies. On this side, you have the Black Series logo again. On the bottom, you have some more legalese and nothing on the top. And with that, that covers the packaging. I'm excited to get this guy opened, as again, I do really enjoy the rando Mandos Hasbro's been putting out, and let's check out the figure. Now that we've got the Mandalorian out of the box, let's first check out the couple accessories he comes with. The first one being his jetpack. This is done in some really cool colors. I love the blue and orange. This is actually my favorite combination of colors are orange and blue. So this is a really nice combination to see. You'll see that there are some nice gray paint applications down here as well. The thrusters do move at a 360-degree swivel. They are going to be hindered for a little bit of movement from the sculpt of the jetpack. You'll see mine are just a little bit warped coming out of the packaging here, but that's nothing that you can't fix with some hot water. You do have some pegs on the back of the jetpack here. That's obviously going to be for putting this onto his back. I'll show you that a little later. Of course, you have the removable rocket as well. It's always a great feature if you want to pose these guys firing their rockets from their jetpacks. Next up, we saw this blaster rifle with the original Death Watch Mandalorian, and it's super cool to see it come back, but in a different design. This version of this blaster is done in a black sculpt, and it also has some gold paint application. I love just that little bit of extra detail. Really is going to help make this figure stand out. And then we have this blaster pistol, which to my knowledge is a completely new accessory. It's got some really nice kind of silver sculpt here with some nice black paint applications to it as well. I think they've done a really good job giving it a two-toned effect, and I think it's got enough sculpted and painted detail to make it a very good blaster pistol. This looks great, especially compared to a lot of the weapons in the Black Series right now, which aren't painted almost at all. This is a fantastic addition. And now let's look at the Shriek-Hawk Mandalorian, which I thought at first was just going to be reuse directly of the Death Watch Mandalorian buck. However, I'm noticing some slight improvements, which I think I'm going to really enjoy. So taking a look at this figure, you'll see he's got all kinds of unique paint applications. I love the look of the helmet with that kind of off-white stripe that goes all the way to the back of the helmet here. You'll see that he's got some nice silver on that back little grill area. He's got the rangefinder, which does articulate down to the front of the helmet, which is awesome too. And I love the two-tone to the silver. The visor is done in a nice black color too, reflects off the light really nicely. There is a sculpted head that's hidden underneath the helmet there, but it actually looks like it's all sculpted to be one piece. I don't think you can actually remove this head from the helmet, which if Hasbro does this more often, I think is going to really help the shape of these helmets. I love that they printed on the Death Watch logo on the left shoulder bell here, and then the right one is done in a green color. You've got just some blue for the back. I don't care if this isn't painted because it's all going to get covered up by the jetpack. This over here I love. You've got 3 different colors, a lighter blue, a darker blue, and a dark green. And then you also have the silver for the Beskar here. The shoulder armor is done on an O-ring system, and the chest armor is an overlay. So keep that in mind when you're articulating the figure. I'll kind of show you what I mean in a little bit here. And then again, just I love all the different colors of the different armor pieces. I think they've done a great job kind of making it really seem like these guys are survivors, you know. You even get some nice little paint applications down here, which I've never even seen this attachment here on a Mandalorian gauntlet. So you actually have some new sculpting here. Another big piece of new sculpting is this whole belt setup. It's got a unique holster that's on there, as well as some paint applications for the buckles in the front. The one thing that is kind of a bummer to me is, even though this is also kind of a looser overlay piece, I wish that these skirt pieces were not sculpted plastic. I wish that these were soft goods, because it's just going to look kind of weird when you're articulating the figure around, and it seems like it's going to kind of hinder some of the articulation as well. Again though, we continue with just kind of the hodgepodge of different colors for the armor here, which I'm really digging. And then you've got the knee armor, which is completely loose. The knee armor is completely loose from the legs. You're going to be able to move these up and down the knee area, which is great. And then you got some boots, no kind of weathering or any paint applications down there, but I think that this guy can easily pass without just, you know, a wash or anything like that, because of how many colors are on this guy's armor. I love the hodgepodge of just different armor colors on this guy. It looks great, and he's going to really pop out on my Mandalorian Season 3 shelf. As far as articulation goes, you've got a double ball joint at the head here, so you can get all kinds of movement. He can look down a little bit here, and he can also look up a pretty fair amount. You can get some tilt for that attitude there, and he can look right and left. Hidden underneath this overlay here, you do have some butterfly joints for those shoulders. You'll be able to get some good movement there, and then you do have a hinge and swivel at the shoulders too, so those are going to get to about 90 degrees, and I highly recommend, because of the O-ring system of the shoulder armor, if you're going to swivel the arms all the way around, you can achieve that 360 degrees of swivel, but it's going to be a little difficult, especially with that O-ring system, so make sure you try to keep that armor with the shoulder. He's got a swivel, which is at the top of the elbow here, as well as a deep cut single jointed hinge, which is going to get you to just above that 90 degree mark. Great range there. He actually does have swivels at the gauntlet, which is an awesome touch as well. He's got a vertical hinge at the right wrist for that trigger finger, and he's got a horizontal hinge at the left wrist. He's got a ball joint at the midsection, which is going to give you some really nice range. And then kind of what I was alluding to earlier is this overlay here kind of screws with the ball joint at the hips, which is, you know, it can still do the movement, but it just feels like I'm really pressing up against and kind of forcing against the sculpted plastic of the skirt piece here. It is what it is. It's accurate to the show. I just wish they would have gone with some soft goods there. But he does have a ball joint at the hips, which, you know, does have good movement when it's not being hindered by the skirt piece. And he does have a cut for a thigh swivel, which is hidden underneath that thigh armor there. He's got some deep cut single jointed knees, which do get you a bend of about 90 degrees there. Those do swivel as well. And then again, you can move that knee armor to kind of block some of that knee joint, which is great. Just be mindful of the knee armor. If you're straightening the knee out, you might want to get that knee armor over the top of the thigh first. Then of course down here at the ankle, he has a forward facing pin for rocker. He's got a little bit of forward on that ankle, which is great. And he's got some really nice back as well. Overall, this is what you should definitely expect. This is great articulation for the Black Series here in 2024, and I like that they've gone with lots of new for this guy. As far as the accessories go, if you want to attach the jetpack to the back, you can do that very easily by matching up the 3 kind of pegs to the matching peg holes there, and that just keeps the jetpack from spinning on the back. It's a very secure hold. When you shake the figure around, it's not going to fall off the figure, and you can see that this does not make him too back heavy. I can have him standing up straight with the jetpack on, and I'm going to have no issues with him falling over. As far as the blaster pistol goes, that does go into the holster very nicely. As you can see, it's a very secure fit, just sits in there with friction, kind of pokes out the bottom of the holster, and when you shake him around, he passes the shake test very easily. The blaster pistol is also really easy to get out of the holster, even with the jetpack on the figure. Getting the blaster pistol in the hand is easy. You can get that trigger finger to get into the trigger guard too, and as you can see, I can very easily achieve a pose with this guy with the blaster pistol in hand, and I almost feel like this guy looks kind of like a pirate a little bit, just from the little skirt piece there. As far as the blaster rifle, you're going to kind of want to wedge the fingers around the grip here, and then kind of put the thumb over the back of the blaster, and then naturally the trigger finger will just find its place in the trigger guard. And then as far as holding it in 2 hands, at that point it's super easy to get that other hand onto the foregrip here. He naturally will kind of shoulder the blaster, which is great if you want to have him kind of aiming down the sights. You can really easily do that and get this guy to aim down the sights very, very nicely. I would love to get this guy into a kneeling pose here, but it's obviously just going to be hindered by all the skirt piece here, and it just is a shame, because this is why I prefer the soft goods, because you wouldn't have this issue. Everything would just lay nicely. It doesn't look horrible depending on how you pose it. You kind of make it seem like he's just landing or something, but you know, this pose would look a lot better, especially with how well he can aim down the blaster's sights with the ability to kneel completely. I think I'm kind of noticing, I think the legs on this guy are actually the Glavis Ringworld Mandalorian legs and not the legs from the Deathwatch Mandalorian. Definitely correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I feel like these are from the Glavis Ringworld Mandalorian. I'm a lot more satisfied with this pose, I think, too. Even though I can't get him into a full kneeling pose, you can definitely get this guy into some lower, wider poses. I mean, the articulation is fantastic. You definitely won't have any issues with the articulation on this figure, and I think that you're going to have a lot of fun posing him as long as the skirt piece isn't touching the ground. Being a Black Series figure here in 2024, it's super easy to get this guy into a one-legged pose. You'll see I was able to do this with relative ease, and just the way that the single joints work, this figure feels very fluid, but none of the joints are loose, and I think they're starting to do a better job of stopping the joints from being so loose, and it's really benefiting the posing for the figures. And just to show off some figures with a lot of shared parts here, I've got the Glavis Ringworld Mandalorian here on the left, I've got the Mandalorian Privateer and the Deathwatch Mandalorian here on the right. Really, I think this guy has the most shared parts to the Privateer, but just showing the way that they colored the armor makes it look like a completely different figure. Even though it's mostly reuse and repaints, it is amazing, and that's exactly what it needs to be. It's so much different from the other ones on the shelf. This guy's really going to stand out and pop. So all in all, I'd say you should definitely pick this figure up and add it to your collection. As of the making of this review, this figure was actually on sale on Target's app and website, so I would definitely get this figure if you can. He will be a great addition, not just to a Mandalorian display, but if you kind of want to just throw him in as a random bounty hunter or something like that, this guy would look awesome on the shelf. He's got so much different to him, and I think it's more than enough to add him to the shelf. He'll make a great presence even as a background character. And with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. Make sure to check out my social media. All the links are in the description below. That's going to be it for this review, guys. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.